Hi there, Lloyd Macedo speaking to you from LloydMacedo.com. Who's Lloyd Macedo and Think Personal Branding? All right. Apparently, it looks like I'm the bearer of bad news that especially there in the Middle East. Now, what happens is if you're in the Middle East, you cannot say anything bad. You always have to speak good. The market is booming. People are becoming rich. Everyone's making lots of money. But then there is bad news and nobody talks about it because the market is regulated. So I keep scanning and scouring the web just to find out the real news, the stuff that nobody talks about. So this is the latest roundup of the bad news that is going on in the Middle East, especially Saudi, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, and the UAE. All right. So as per this blog, that is Musings, where it says the musings of money manager to the mega rich, which is a report with regards to the Middle East. So as of now, it seems 19 banks have merged. Etihad cannot pay back its debt. Saudi contractors cannot pay salaries. UAE and Saudi halt projects worth 243 billion US dollars. And you have $11 billion bailout for Bahrain and Jordan. Okay. So apparently, it seems thousands of businessmen across the Middle East have been running helter-skelter because the property prices have collapsed. Now they are either in jail or they are not able to make their payments or they are involved in multiple litigations. Now here's the problem. If you supply to the government, okay, let's say you supply to the government and the payment is due, you cannot squeeze the government and say, pay me my money or I'm going to take it to court. How can you take the court? How can you take a government to court? How can you take the ruler to court? How can you tell the ruler of the country, I'm taking you to court and I'm going to jail you? So that's a very, that's a catch-22 situation. You can't do anything about it. Trump is openly humiliating and challenging Saudi. It seems Etihad, which is supposed to be the flagship carrier of the United Arab Emirates, is also on the collapse of a very slow death. Now, in terms of banking, let's start with banking. 3 banks have merged together to avoid collapse. 19 banks in the Middle East have merged together, because of which 3,000 people will be looking out for jobs. 8 banks alone have merged in UAE, which completes 2 in 2017, 6 this year. 3 have merged in Qatar, 2 have merged in Kuwait and Bahrain. The 2 of the oldest banks in Saudi have merged. Now, as per the reform agenda in the Kingdom of Saudi, it doesn't seem to be working, because what they wanted to do was say bye-bye to all the expatriates, give the locals more jobs. But now when you have the locals that demand very big salaries for very little work, it doesn't seem to be working out. And what's even more is UAE and Saudi, they wanted to keep their citizens happy. So they kept promising big bonuses. They kept promising like double the salaries, triple the salaries. And now they are not able to maintain their budgets. It seems the largest petrochemical company in Saudi is also in trouble. Now, the heart of all this is the mergers that are taking place. It's not working out. The Japan's 200 billion SoftBank solar project with Saudi doesn't seem to be working out. It seems inflation is hitting Saudi, which is pretty high. I'm not able to get the exact figures here. Now, here's a big thing. You have Dubai that promised by October of 2018 that 2 multi-billion projects were going to be at least ready or completed. It's not happening. The major one in Abu Dhabi, which was sponsored by the Abu Dhabi Fund, is not happening. Expo 2020 has witnessed the collapse of Schon Properties, SCHON Properties. Several towers have stopped. Work has stopped in several of them. Al Maktoum Airport seems to be going back to us. The expansion is not happening. You have the VAT that was in UAE is planned from 5% to next 10% of next year. The $36 billion that is Al Maktoum Airport expansion is on hold. Shobha Group, SOBHA Shobha Group, which had plenty of projects announced, which are supposed to be delivered in 2018, they are not happening. they also have halted the $6.8 billion development in Ras Al Khaimah. Now, Saudi has not been able to also pay salaries, that is Saudi contracting. And, the only solution that they have is to speculate in terms of e-commerce, in terms of tourism, in terms of, money that is coming in, which is not actually happening. There is a major gap between the expatriates who are there, who are now questioning how long should I remain, and also jobs to the local citizens. Etihad apparently is in terrible shape. Etihad Airways, they have shut down their first class and business class lounges. They are turning into a budget airlines. They've shut down the limo services to many countries. They have reduced the meal types, making them pretty ordinary. Etihad is also fearing a collapse because they are not able to pay back the investors. And apparently, it seems that Etihad was responsible for the bankruptcy of Air Berlin, Alitalia, and they could not pay the return on investments. So as of now, Etihad is extending its arm of support to Emirates Airlines, and Emirates Airlines now has to make the decisive decision whether to save Etihad, yes or no. So these are some of the musings that are happening in the Middle East. Overall, it looks like the Middle East is shaken up because of all the financial problems that they have. They have to balance out between making their own citizens work, which is not happening. They need to stop speculating and, predicting larger numbers than possible. And they also need to survive. So what's going to happen next is the market will correct itself. It has to correct itself, and they have to show realistic figures. So let me know what you think. These are some of the musings in terms of the Middle East markets. Where do you think I'm wrong? I'd like to hear from you. Where do you think I'm right? I'd like to hear from you. Also, the media front. You have some of the top leading newspapers. They're not able to make their money because of a drop in advertisements in terms of a drop in the spendings that companies have. Today, they're just trying to make money whichever way they can, online, offline, by charging people more and hoping that revenues come in. So these are some of the musings that I have in terms of the Middle East. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Love to hear from you. This is me saying goodbye for now. Next news bulletin whenever I'm furnished with more information. Take care.